Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast series Let's Talk, learning from every journey, big or small. Today we have a very special guest with us, Jatin Aditya Reddy, who is currently pursuing his postgraduate diploma in management and whose journey is really inspiring. From being an engineering student of ECE branch to a massive shift in career. Firstly, I welcome you to our podcast series and thank you so much for taking out time for this.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you for having me here.
Could you please tell more about yourself, about your journey?
All right. I'll go from my engineering to my management journey as is. In 2017, I got an opportunity to join Triple IT near Raipur. And it was a new college at that time. The college had started in 2015, and I got an opportunity to do my electronics and communication engineering. And it was a Bachelor of Technology degree. So I've done my degree for 4 years and I've graduated in 2021. The program is particularly different compared to the other programs in India because it focuses primarily a lot more on practical academics. And what I mean to say is that the learnings are more application oriented than theoretical knowledge. So that created a lot of learnings and a gap in terms of what I am inferring from the classes is not just bookish knowledge anymore. I'm implementing them in, say, robotics or IoT or communications. So, along with that, we had a mix of learnings in terms of financial accounting, digital marketing, human resources, environment, and entrepreneurship. So, these additional subjects, which I did in my engineering, along with a course on cognition and human psychology, actually inspired me to pursue management as a postgraduate degree in my future. That was the plan which I had towards my final year. And during my time in college, I've also been a part of a lot of committees. We'll talk about that eventually. Uh, I graduated in 2021 and it was the COVID year. So a lot of companies were not really hiring at that time. I did have an opportunity with a company. It is L&T, Technology Services. But because they wanted the employees to be present on their offices, even when though the vaccination was not done at that point, I decided it's not worth the risk and I did not join the organization. 6 months later, I got an opportunity with Kantar. And for those 6 months, I was just reflecting on how to prepare myself for the next 2, 3 years and what kind of work experience I would like to have, what kind of organizations I would like to be a part of, and the things I would like to learn. So for me, it was primarily learning more on marketing first because I saw myself ending up at a general management role, someone who knows everything end to end, be it finance, human resources, operations, technology, and even marketing. So I had an opportunity to work with Cantor, and I took that opportunity immediately. That was January 2022. The opportunity itself was on business analysis, and I was a business analyst at that point in time. And I primarily work with FMCG companies. During my time, I got a chance to work with different products which we have developed for these companies to understand their performance marketing, also get a gist of sentiment analysis and consumer service, which a lot of leading FMCG companies do. There, basically, I had an opportunity to understand how consumers think when they see the products, be it the product packaging, design, or what is even written on those product packages. This gave me more interest, and I understood that it's really important to understand how humans think in general. From there, it was one of the clients who had actually reached out to me saying that we would like you to be a part of our team full time. And that is where I decided to do the shift instead of going for, a higher study examination, which is CAT in India or GMAT if you are looking for opportunities abroad, especially in the space of PGDM or MBA. So 2023, rather 2024, I had this opportunity to work with one of the clients, which I cannot name due to confidentiality clauses. Allowed me to join an organization called KIPSA. It was a third party organization wherein I am
Okay.
working full time for a client, but on the payroll of a startup. So in this role, I was a senior associate working end to end on market research. So I was delivering research reports on all countries across the world. So this client is an FMCG giant. The client is present across 185 countries, and they sell all products, be it your home care products or deodorants, skincare products, fragrances, even your condiments, ketchups, and everything. So all of that is covered.
So they connected through LinkedIn only?
It they connected through LinkedIn, yes, and because I was working at with Kantar at that time, so I had to make this transition. After
Okay.
that, I decided maybe it's time. I've done work on product management, project management, business analysis, human behavior analysis, and end to end on market research. Thought it's a lot of experience, and I should pursue opportunities in the space of management. And that is where I took my exam for CAT 2024. And I got a 96.76% in the exam. Basis that I got a lot of opportunities to interview. The top most ones were SPJMR, which I am presently a student at. Other than that, I had opportunities with MDI Gurgaon and IFT.
ओके। सो लाइक व्हेन यू टोल्ड कि आपका फाइनल ईयर में एक इंटरेस्ट होगा कि आपको मैनेजमेंट साइड में जाना है, तो वो कौन सा पॉइंट था जब आपको लगा कि ओके द ब्रांच यू आर इन द इलेक्ट्रिकल आई गेस राइट ईसी
Electronics.
ब्रांच
Yeah.
इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, सो उसमें आपको आगे नहीं परस्यू करना, मैनेजमेंट में जाना है, तो वो स्पार्क आपका कब आपको रियलाइज़ हुआ कि आई एम मेड फॉर दिस थिंग्स मैनेजमेंट रोल के लिए?
Okay, I think at some point I realized being in India, you have an opportunity to do a lot of things, be in the space of entrepreneurship or running your own companies. But being as an employee, I see that my scope is very limited. It's just based on what the company wants me to do, irrespective of whatever company it is. So that is where I realized, though I love electronics entirely, and I have done good research in my time. It was on autonomous UAVs for precision agriculture. It's a publication that I have, on IEEE. So that interest is always there. But I realized somewhere if I want to do something in the space of electronics, it can't be through joining an organization and working there full time. It has to be more than that. So I realized the best way to go about is with entrepreneurship. But again, if you're not a first generation family owned business owner or someone who has not access to a lot of capital, that is really a risky path to go about. And that is where I realized the most ideal and optimal way is to pursue an MBA first and then think about setting up a business once I have the know-how to do it.
Okay. So I was curious to know what made you take 4 years of gap. Like you can do your engineering and after that you can just go in a higher for higher studies. So you took 4 years of gap. So what was the reason of that?
Okay, so it was not really a gap, I would say,
Okay.
because to get opportunities with the best B schools in India, you are expected to have a lot of work experience. Uh, it is possible to get in as a fresher, but the ideal number of years of experience that the colleges in India see is like at least 2 to 3 years. For me, at that time, I had recently changed organizations. Once I had around 2 years of work experience. So I felt it's not really the best time to just go leave the organization hanging. That was one thing. Second, during this time, it was important for me to have a lot of experience or like learn a lot about different things because the organizations that I've joined, especially Cantor, it's an MNC and its valuation is around 4 billion. So the point there is like when you are a part of such a tremendous organization, why not use the time to learn things? Second,
Right.
to get into colleges in India, and I am a general engineer male, so that categorization does not really help with admissions with a lot of institutions. You really have to be one of the best to get into a program like that. And I feel somewhere I'm lucky that I had this opportunity to join SPJMR, and it's one of the best institutes in India.
ओके। एंड जो आपने अपनी बात करी इंटर्न ओके लाइक इंटर्नशिप की पॉइंट पे हम बाद में आएंगे, उससे पहले मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है लाइक मैनी स्टूडेंट्स गो थ्रू दिस चैलेंजेस और फैमिली की एक्सपेक्टेशन सोसाइटी प्रेशर और पर्सनल सर्कमस्टेंसेज ड्यूरिंग द गैप पीरियड इधर दे हैव टेकन फॉर कैट एग्जाम और मे बी फॉर अदर रीजन्स, सो डिड यू फेस एनीथिंग लाइक दैट?
Honestly, not much. I mean, like, there was a mismatch of ideas which my parents had. Obviously, your parents being wiser, they would suggest that why don't you take the safe route of doing a government job by writing entrance exams. I said that I might want to do it, but I'm more interested in, pursuing this route. So they supported my ideas, and I mean, other than that, not really, because I was working full time, as I said. And one thing that really stood out to me during this time is not losing the vision that I had. What I mean to say is, when I knew that I want to do an MBA only from the best institutes in India, I shouldn't compromise on what opportunities I'm getting immediately on hand. So it didn't matter to me what options I had. If it was not the best in India, then it made me not have a second thought if I'm losing out on something. So when I had opportunity with SPJMR, I said, yeah, this is the one I have to go for. But other than that, I never really got that energy, like interest in like say, okay, this is a good enough opportunity. Why not do an MBA now? So that vision actually helped me to wait for the right opportunity and go for it.
देन कभी वो आपको वेटिंग पीरियड जैसे होता है, समटाइम्स वी जस्ट गिव अप इन दैट वेटिंग पीरियड कि ऐसा नहीं होता, और मे बी योर ड्रीम्स फील्स अनक्लियर, ऐसा कोई फेज आया आपकी लाइफ में?
Honestly, no, because I was working with these organizations, right? One was Cantor, and the other one, I
तो ये
can't name.
एक बैकबोन बन के रहे.
Yes, exactly. So if you start off with a good organization where you have the liberty to work, explore, and there's no real criticism to you not delivering up to the mark, of course, that is being measured, but you are allowed to make mistakes in an organization as long as you learn and do better. So that really became a supportive and a positive environment for me. And I really had the opportunity to learn fast because I make mistakes and then I learn out of it and then I don't repeat those. And in the process, I do something that adds a lot of value to the clients. So in this process, actually, at the end of 2023, I had received the Cantor Serious Award, which was for client impact. So this is an award that is given to one person out of the whole team of engineers or data strategy people. I was a business analyst in this team. So I am really glad to be receiving this award out of a team of 60 members. But that really translates to the scale and the supportive environment I had received. Because somewhere people make mistakes. It's like it's given. You can't expect someone from day one to be delivering on the best level as possible. And a lot of organizations in India, especially, don't get that right. They think that if someone is making mistake, we'll replace them immediately. That is not how organizations should think of people. And I'm really glad that I was not in a part of those organizations where only the expectation is to be right on top. Yes, the expectation is to deliver really well, but some mistakes should be tolerated. And yeah, that helped me to never lose this thought that I should go for the best colleges. Second, what happened was because I was working for these organizations which are really good, the compensation is good, the life is good, the experience that I'm getting is good. It did not let me think twice about whether leaving another good enough college is a loss or not. So I could just wait, prepare my best, and when I got the chance, I joined.
ओके, सो लाइक एज यू टोल्ड यू आर वर्किंग फुल टाइम, तो साथ में अपने स्टडीज़ को कैसे मैनेज करें? बिकॉज डेट्स अ डिफरेंट, लाइक जो आप एग्जाम देते हो डेट्स अ कंप्लीट डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द प्रैक्टिकल एप्लीकेशन,
Right.
एंड यू स्कोर्ड अ गुड स्कोर ऑफ 96% इन कैट एग्जाम, तो
Yeah.
उसमें आप बताएंगे कि कैसे आपने मैनेज करा?
Huh. Actually, yeah, that is really a good question because a lot of the times people who are preparing for anything, like not just management exams, people often prepare for government exams, banking exams, civil services, and everything. In some cases, yes, they do it full time. In some cases, like management, it's not possible. So you really have to understand that time allocation that you're doing for the activities you're supposed to do. So in my case, it was more about uh, leading my lifestyle, which is like day-to-day activities, having some entertainment, having some workout or exercises outside the work life. B is to focus on work, like ensuring that the deliverables are met. I am doing a good job. And C would be to prioritize my preparation. Now, of the three categories that are given, each of them takes a different priority according to the stage of life we are in. What I mean to say is, if the exam is tomorrow, then C is the priority, right? It can't be B and A. But if I am working on a deadline with a client, then B takes priority. And if not both, then A takes priority because you have to ensure your health. So it is really important to balance these three things. And in my case, because I was working Monday to Friday, which was my full time 5 day shift, I really use my weekends to either have fun, meet people, talk to people, or also like prepare for the exam. So I would allocate the time. And within that, what really worked for me is choosing the time that I want to study. That means the most efficient hours of the day when I know I'm productive, when I know I am able to think clearly and understand what's there in the subjects and what's important for the exams. That is how I optimize my study plan. So for me, it was during the middle part of the day, which was around 12 noon to 5, 6 p.m. That was the time I would definitely allocate for studying for exams.
Okay. So like क्या होता है, most of the people have this thing कि they have to study for 14 hours 15 hours, otherwise they won't be able to clear it. And but in your case you told कि you
Mhm.
will allocate a time, separate time, or mostly on weekends. So any
Yeah.
suggestions to students who are going to give the CAT exam?
Yeah, okay. So right now, I mean, CAT is really close. It's like on 30th. So, I mean, it's really the last lap for people. But other than that, if you think about it, someone who's preparing for the next year, then yes, definitely I have some inputs on that. One thing would be to not focus on the hours you're putting in, but whether you're learning something out of it or not. So even if you're preparing for a concept, or like let's say you are preparing to get your maths or verbal or say data interpretation skills right, you really need to understand what is going wrong. What I mean to say is when you are doing some questions or when you're solving some things on test or mock tests, you really have to take some time to understand what went right for you in the exam or the mock test that you've done, or even the questions that you solved, and what went wrong. So breaking it down in that way will allow you to understand what conceptual gaps you have in your learnings, and then it will allow you to spend more time with those topics. So for me, I would say I was not initially good at understanding that was anything related to finance or data sets that were number heavy. So I was not good at it. And I would get a lot of mistakes in that area, even though I was an engineer. So normally one would expect that I'm like good at it, but it's not really the case. And coming to verbal, I think a lot of the times what I understood about the reading comprehension passages that were given in the exam and what the author is trying to say had a mismatch. And that really led me to have different answers in the exam, causing a lot of negative marks. So once I understood that, okay, this is the problem, then the solution became much easier. So I can just now take out the time, understand how the author is thinking, because that is how I have to think to get the answers right. Even in the case of data interpretation of finance, I have to understand why the question was made. That would help me understand the nuances that are being tested for me in the exam and do well when the next question comes up. So this is where I spend most of the time and not a lot of time on just doing 30 questions, 40 questions or 100 questions. The number of questions really don't matter if you understand the concept. So that is what I would
True.
stress upon for people who are preparing for the next exam. Yes, practice matters because ultimately it's a time-based assessment. But if you don't get the concepts right, then there's no point of doing the drills.
So you started with the foundation, like base से
Yes.
एकदम start करके आपने करा.
Yes.
So, like before you told you have worked as a senior analyst and a senior associate.
Yep.
So, could you share what were the main responsibilities and how you got these opportunities?
All right. So yeah, I'll break this in parts. So I'll just go with the timeline approach right now. So
Sure.
I started with Kantar in Jan 2022. And the way I got this opportunity was I started looking for jobs in January. Once I realized that, okay, I have to join a job now. And I've decided that it has to be in the space of products or marketing. And Kantar being the first company that came to my mind, I was considering applying it, and I've applied to a lot of other companies like Nielsen, Ipsos, and then I've also applied to a lot of
So, you
product
applied
roles.
it through LinkedIn or
Yeah, yeah, I
like
applied.
college?
No, no, I graduated in 2021. So
Okay,
from
okay.
November, I was free. So I took the time to think about what opportunities to go because the one that I've received on campus, I've declined the offer, like I told you earlier.
Okay.
So then I started applying to the biggest firms I could think of, Amazon, Google. I started from there. That shouldn't have been the approach. But one day I saw that there was a request for me from one of the recruiters from Cantor asking if you're interested and available. So I said, yeah, I would definitely consider, and I took their exam. And then there was an interview post the aptitude test, and then the interview had a case to solve, and that was about it. I solved the case, and then I got the opportunity. So within Cantor, the scale of my work role was primarily focused on data strategy and engineering division. That means I was among the team that was responsible for understanding the database problems which the clients have and trying to come up with solutions, or like trying to come up with something that like a product or a dashboard or even an analytics platform for them, so that in future if they have similar concerns they will be able to understand the problems and diagnose it on their own. So in my case, I was dealing with the consumer packaged goods segment because I was working in the consumer analytics team. Right there, I have spent a lot of time with three major clients. All of them are FMCGs, and I have worked on problems like for hair care products, deodorants, and nutrition products for babies as well. And for within 1.5 years of time, my scale increased from just being an analyst to actually dealing with the clients right away. So me and my skip manager both would attend the client calls. So I was responsible for negotiating deals directly with FMCG client, and the award was basically a consequence of it, because I was able to convince one of the clients for a solution that me and my team designed, and it brought us a revenue of around 235,000 US dollars. So that was the scale of impact I was able to deliver in 2 years. So once you know that you are doing something of that level, it motivates your energy and your learnings immediately. The client was so happy with what we have presented 6 months later. It was basically a sentiment analysis platform. So it would basically capture data of all the consumers who have used a product, see what their feedback was about the product, and help us understand as the client and the company what changes they have to do, whether it's in terms of the product pricing, whether it's in terms of the names that they have used on the product, and what package designs or how the product feels to the consumers. So they can work on all of these things. So it had a massive impact for them as it improved the business immediately. So because of that, they actually asked me to join their organization for a much higher pay. And I agreed because it allowed me to explore more. In my second organization, which is Kipsa, I was a senior associate and I was directly managing a team of four. And I was also reporting to a manager based out of UK. This person was also my client because it's a third party arrangement, and I'm not part of the direct FMCG organization, the payroll is being managed by the FMCG company itself. Because I am not registered to work in UK as it is. This is the working arrangement we have. It happens for a lot of organizations in India as well. Again, here the scale changed from building those products to the client to building those products in house. That was one thing. Second was a lot on market research, trying to understand the trends across different countries. So the countries that I have worked with in terms of the data sets or in terms of running consumer service were US, UK, Brazil, India, Japan, Philippines, France, Netherlands, a lot. I think it was around 10 to 12 countries where I had to understand their languages and how they saw advertisements, what they interpreted out of those advertisements that come on TV, or whether they are shown in Instagram or even on billboards that you see on roads. So the interpretations are really important to create advertisements which your consumers remember in the future. So, because of the impact, again, the scale of impact that I had, the learnings were great. And because now I spent effectively 3.5 years in almost like a manager role, but not explicitly so, I decided it's the right time for me to go into an opportunity if I get. And I'm lucky to get an opportunity at SPGMR.
Oh, that's really nice to hear. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
So basically, like you started with no experience and you searched through LinkedIn and you got a job role.
Mhm. Yeah.
सो आई गेस ये काफ़ी उन स्टूडेंट्स के लिए एक मोटिवेटिंग हो सकता है जो कि मैनेजमेंट में जाना चाहते हैं बट दे थिंक कि इफ़ दे डोंट हैव अ डिग्री एमबीए डिग्री और इफ़ दे हैव नॉट क्लियर द एग्जाम दे स्टिल कांट डू एनी इंटर्नशिप बट
Mhm.
आप एग्जाम्पल है कि विद नो कनेक्शंस नो एक्सपीरियंस यू कैन स्टिल गेट अ जॉब एंड आपने
Yeah.
उसमें काफ़ी अच्छा करा
Uh,
तो
yeah. Sorry.
या प्लीज कैरी ऑन प्लीज
No, no. I was just saying. I think now basically why it worked out for me is because of the resume that I had. It matters a lot because it's the first impression which any person would see about you. And what made my resume stand out is the number of responsibilities I've handled as a student in my college. So every year I had taken up a position of responsibility. So in my second year, I was the head of the finance department for entrepreneurship cell. In my third year, I was the secretary for the student activity center, and in my final year, I was the student coordinator for training and placement cell. While these are just roles, beyond the roles, I was also managing student fest, which was Technovate at Triple IT near Airport, and the other one is a fest called Scientific, which focuses on creating a tech expo for school students. So now, because I have done these activities, inherently I am responsible for coordinating the event, getting the vendors, getting the sponsorship, arranging the logistics of the event, ensuring that the participants have a way to come to the campus, participate, then go back. So there are a lot of things that you learn. This was one aspect of my learning. Second, I have done two research papers. One was on UAVs for agriculture. It was an autonomous drone that we have built, and it's an app controlled drone actually. Just specify where the drone has to fly, and the drone will tell you which parts of your farm are healthy, which parts are not, and if there are weeds and insects. The second research paper that I did was on understanding human behavior, especially if they speak more than one language. How do they interpret the world life versus someone who speaks only one language? Because of these research works, positions of responsibility, and my own academics and my projects that I've done on college, my resume was already having a lot of information which showed the HRs that okay, this is a good person to have, even though he's not having a full-time experience. And I've also interned twice with a professor at IIT Roorkee, DMS IIT Roorkee, which is the Department of Management Studies, where I have worked on market research primarily. So because I have done all of this in my past, justifying whether I'm a good candidate or not for an HR became a lot easier because this person is someone without an
राइट
experience, but their resume has a lot more value right away. So that is the one insight I'll leave people with. Like, focus a lot on building your profile when you are in your student years, rather than going to the corporate world and then starting to build it.
आई वुड लाइक टू नो मोर अबाउट द रिसर्च पेपर यू जस्ट मैंशन
Mhm.
बट बिफोर डेट मेरे क्वेश्चन है आपने अभी एक बताया था कि केस स्टडी लाइक व्हेन यू आर इंटरव्यूइंग फॉर दिस जॉब रोल सीनियर
Yeah.
एनालिस्ट एंड आगे
Yep.
तो उसमें आप केस स्टडी के बताओ कि कैसे केस स्टडी पूछी जाती है एंड विच टाइप ऑफ इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस दे आस्क
Okay. So it's a business analyst role. So the case that I was asked was to assess a situation. So basically, I was given two hypothetical companies which had two different products, and the volume of the products being sold were different, and the revenues being earned by one company varied with the other company. Now my task was to understand why this difference was happening, even though both were selling identical products and had identical market shares. So I had to think about the case and come up with recommendations like what should the other company do and why essentially they're not able to sell or not earn revenues. So in my problem statement that I had, I identified essentially in the space of 10 minutes that the company B was charging like had a higher cost of production, which made them earn lesser profits, even though they were earning the same revenue. So, because the profit margin was lower, they couldn't effectively invest more in advertising and not get a market share. So, this was the analysis I have delivered. And this was what they were looking out of from the interview as well. So, when it comes to interviewing, they are trying to understand your thought process. It doesn't actually have to be right, it has to be in the right direction. Even in the software development roles, which a lot of my friends did, or even say in the space of product development, what the interviewers are actually looking for is the thought process and the thinking. Because as a fresher, nobody expects anyone to get everything right, but the interest
Right.
should be there. The communication skills should be on point. Like what you're trying to explain to, say, a manager or a senior manager, someone who has worked for 10 to 15 years should be clear. Like, this is what my idea is, and I would like to see if it works or not. And then, based on what you're suggesting and based on their experiences, they will tell you, okay, this might work, this might not work. And that becomes essentially a two-way communication. So, in the interviews, it's very important to have that drive when you're answering the questions. It should come from a space that you are leading the discussion and not the interviewer asking you questions like, okay, this is the question, you try to solve. It should be like, this is what I'm thinking, this is my approach. If you have any other difference of opinions, we'll discuss. So when you are able to do that for any interview, it immediately creates that interview from becoming an interview between two people to a conversation. So, what I mean to say is now you're freely exchanging ideas. Nobody has to be right. And ultimately, once the interview is done, the interviewer is left thinking, okay, this person knows a lot. And if we give the person the opportunity, they'll do things right, which happened in my case as well. I'm sure the HR that had me had no reservations because I had delivered an impact that was quantifiable. And also, they had rewarded me for the same thing, right? So, this
Right.
is what I would suggest, like to focus on the communication, the ideation, and the delivery more than preparing the knowledge because that's available anywhere. You do an
Right.
internet search, you can do a chat GPT search, you'll get every information that you need. But what is unique to you is the thought process.
Right. So, any suggestions on this? How to build that mindset and how to build that problem-solving mind, so that we can able to understand what answers we need to give, and also regarding the aptitude questions,
Yeah.
like you told, ki aptitude questions are also asked in the interview. How to practice a lot in the aptitude side.
Okay, so I'll answer this question in two parts. First thing was, how do you build an aptitude, or like how do you build the problem solving mindset or the thought process, right? So here it's really important to understand that it's not a thing that you get overnight. So it comes with a lot of practice. It also comes with a lot of experience. So in my case, in my second year, like I started participating on a lot of competitions. Though it meant that I will not be fully prepared for the exams that I have in classes, I will have the exposure of participating in hackathons or product building competitions. And one competition which I progressed to a national semifinals was by KPMG. It was called KPMG Ideation uh, Ideation Case Competition. That was the name, KICC KPMG. And there we essentially were given a problem statement that, okay, you are a company and you are designing a product for helping the disadvantaged communities in India as a health product. So what can you do about it? So because I have done some projects in college, I said, okay, we can build a autonomous health kiosk where the patients can do a primary health checkup. Like if they have illnesses like fever, cold, cough, or any simple problems, they don't need a doctor per se. And where we are at a time where we have internet connectivity and everything, so you don't need the doctor to be present in person, but patients need that support from a doctor to say, okay, this is a problem, this is what you need to do for the next 2 3 days. So this was an idea that we pitched, and it was selected among like 20 ideas across India. So now, what the competition helped me was to understand, looking at problems from a different perspective. It was not just like, okay, this is a statement, I'll just search it on Google and I'm presenting an idea. No, the difference was that I have prepared for it, I have researched on the topic, and I have tried to understand how to build something for a person who is having a problem. So this created that space where I'm thinking about product building. So this was one of the competitions. So the more you participate in different competitions that you have, it creates the thought process over time. So that is what creates your creativity and the ideas or approaching problem
Right.
skills. Second would be about the aptitude test. The aptitude test was primarily on like I would say logical ability, like pattern recognition and speed mathematics, and also like understanding grammatical errors and not. And there were some questions on data interpretation as well. You have bar charts, pie charts, try to interpret it in a very short time. So this thing does not come again overnight. The only thing you can do
Right.
here is to have practiced a lot of questions, or uh, put yourself in situations where you have to think a lot. So on college, I used to play a lot of football and chess. And chess being a game where you understand a lot of patterns, that created a way where I started seeing questions in terms of patterns that they're being asked. So I can't directly translate how chess helped me here, but I'm sure that the pattern recognition skills would have helped me solve those questions faster. So it's all about doing more things than your classes and exams in the 4 years that you get.
लाइक वाइल प्लेइंग चेस हम लोग ट्राई करते हैं कि हम दूसरे की भी स्ट्रेटेजी समझें, तो
Correct.
वो कहीं ना कहीं माइंड को बिल्ड करता है।
Yes, I agree with that.
So before that, you told कि you worked in the research internship, like you
Mhm.
published a research paper. तो firstly, can you tell what is this research paper क्या होता है and how to do this? Because जो students हैं उनको जब वो college में enter कर रहे थे, they don't have the idea.
Right.
They don't have the idea what is IEEE, what is research paper, and how to approach this. So can you tell this in detail?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, research is basically trying to say whatever you have like experimented or you have observed, and nobody has done it in the past, gets reflected on an official document. That okay, so and so persons have worked together on a project, and their project was this. Just to put it in layman's terms, what the paper essentially says is okay, a bunch of people from this institute or a place where they have researched have worked on this topic, trying to explore the nuances on, say, agenda, what you have done. And they basically thought about this because they have seen some things happen in their real world. Next would be, like what they have actually done about that topic or project, what were their findings, and what are the conclusions, and what are the relevant things that have been done. So that is the structure of a research paper. To put it more in a concrete way, it goes like the people who have researched on what topic, what is the abstract of that, what is the methodology that they're trying to use, implement, or experiment in their project, and what they have done actually in the project, along with the observations, inferences, and conclusion. This is the structure of a research paper. And at the end, you add all the citations, which means that you are referred to a certain research paper which was similar in this space. So if I'm doing something on drones, then I'll have to look up papers of past authors or past researchers who have also worked on drones. So now if I'm working on drones for agriculture, right, now I have to look at the space intersection of these two topics. So when you look at intersection of so many topics, you will be surprised to see that there may be only two research papers or one research paper, and it allows you to have a scope that nobody has thought of in the present times. So now that is how research works, and you need to have a research to be a PhD in engineering at least. So that is how your thesis are being evaluated if you are planning to do a PhD in the future. So IEEE is one of those organizations among a lot more which curate all of these research studies done by many professors, students.
So
Or
IEEE is the biggest organization who is handling all this.
I would say elsewhere is the biggest one. I think it depends to the field, right?
Okay.
For medicine, it is APA. For engineering, especially in tech, it is IEEE. For business, it is Harvard Business School, which has Harvard Business Review and cases. And you have also papers from INSEAD, papers from Kellogg Business School, Ivy. There are a lot of colleges with their own collection of such research papers. So what I did in my projects essentially was come up with things that are not really done before. This usually seems like a hard thing when you say, okay, I have researched something on this topic. Students immediately feel that, okay, this person has done something huge, or like nobody has thought of. True, nobody has thought of it, but also there are a lot of spaces where people are not really invested the time and effort to think about. So research essentially gives you that opportunity. How to do it is that if you approach any of your professor on campus, they would know how to structure up research, and one thing which stands for research is you have to invest a lot of time. Just give me a minute. You have to
Yeah,
invest a
sure,
lot
sure.
of time and think about uh, what you're trying to deliver. And most importantly, it has to be something that you're not copying from another person. It has to be your own work, and you're careful that you are not copied anyone's work. What you're delivering is of some substance and value, and it is something new. These researchers are usually evaluated by a board of professors who are allocated as a committee basis by these organizations like IEEE, Harvard, so on and so forth.
Okay.
Those are the experts in those fields. So when I published a paper on drones and in the space of agriculture, my panel had these professors evaluating okay whether this project proposal that is being presented to us is something that has never been done or is it something that's being copied and repeated. So if it is something like that, it gets rejected immediately. But if it is not,
Okay.
they listen to what you're suggesting, what you have presented,
Or
and
maybe it has done but has a different solution.
also
That can
true.
be also true.
Also true. In that case, then your research gets would need you to explain why your research paper is different. So if something is not really done in that space, and you're the first person, or you're offering the new outputs or answers, that gets accepted and it gets published in the next iteration of publications that they do. So even in my internships, I have done the same thing with IIT Roorkee, but unfortunately, those papers did not get published. So that means that
Okay.
there are some people who have done that task and like researched and explored those areas. That is the reason why it was not published. But again, the point is that even if it gets published, it doesn't get published. You get to learn a lot more.
Right. So will they tell the reason also why it was not published?
Yes, yes, they definitely do. And then they also show you things like, okay, it could be a lot of reasons. One is something that, say, someone has already done it, then it's a clear case of like you are trying to replicate the work, so it won't count as a new research. Second would be that it is not something novel or unheard of that qualifies as a research. What I mean to say is there are a bunch of parameters like novelty, quality of output, uh, the validity or the statistical backing you're providing in your research. Like if you're done something, you have to quantify it as a proof. Mathematically, it should be derivable and it should have reasoning that, okay, this is the reason why it is working and this is why it is eligible to be presented as a research. So if some of those parameters are not strong, like they are okay, passable, there are reasons to reject your research paper. So that was my case when I published one, tried to publish one rather, it did not get published with during my time with DMS IIT Roorkee as an intern.
Okay. So what are the like basic steps to publish a research paper? Like, do we need to firstly go to a professor, like in our university, or we can go directly to the website or something like that?
Sorry, one second. I did not get your question. You're saying
Like,
the
what are the?
okay. Just I'll try to
Huh,
clarify your question.
sure,
You're
sure.
saying how do you go about publishing or getting the information?
Not
Is it
like not about publishing. Like if I have a idea and I want to work on it, and I think yeah, this can be a good approach. Maybe my idea is unique. Then how I will think of that paper? How I will
okay?
go and publish it?
Fair
Like
question.
how the step will start,
Okay, yeah.
the
So
procedure.
first thing for a research paper, it has to be done with a PhD scholar. Someone who
Okay.
holds a PhD is only eligible to guide or suggest a research. If you don't have a PhD and you are trying to publish a paper, you can also apply to say that you are done PhD in this space. But the bottom line is you'll need a professor or a guide who with a PhD to support your research findings. Second, like you'll have to do a research, like whether it's a project or thesis, whatever you're building on, you'll have to have something that's concrete, it's not been done before, and it is something that can be measurable and quantifiable. Second, when you collaborate with this teaching scholar or a research fellow or a PhD faculty, you inform them that okay, a conference in this space is coming up. So how do you know about it? Is just an internet search again. If you go to the websites of IEEE, go to elsewhere, or you go to Springer for engineering, or if you go to let's say Harvard Business Review is the best in business management, but you can also look at a Sage, you can look at APMC. There are a lot of journals this one AGMC, this by Kellogg. So you look at these spaces and see if there are any conferences or research papers spaces coming up, and then basically you start your work, get your guide or the faculty involved, show them that this is how it is different, and they'll definitely agree to be a co-author on the research paper. The caveat is that you'll have to have them as a co-author, and then you submit your research, and it gets reviewed by a team, and then if it's fine, they'll ask you for an interview or a conference wherein you go and present your ideas, and if it meets all the expectations and answers all the queries, then it gets approved.
Okay, okay. And yeah, last one more thing. Before ending the session, we mostly ask our guest, whosoever is on the podcast, ki, what was the toughest phase in your life and where you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So I'll add both of the answers here. So I think the toughest part of my own the whole journey was to see that my plan or the goals that I have had in my mind is actually working or not. Because there's no real way of knowing whether the efforts you put or what you're trying to achieve is translating into something that you actually wanted as a consequence. So when I say that my goal was to get into a best B school in India, and the things that I was doing, like getting revenue, getting awards, or working with large organizations, I somewhere believe that it will work, but also there's no way of knowing for sure that yes, what you're doing is on the right track. So sometimes I would wonder if what I've done is it enough or not. And at those times, it is really important to remember why you have started. That is what I would say. And the second thing, which is, I mean, like, what I would suggest to your viewers would be to understand what you really want to do. Like for me, for the next 5 years, it's basically to get into the space of general management. Right now, I'm doing a PGDM in business management at SPJMR, and my program essentially covers all topics. It's not restricted to one specialization, so finance, marketing, or operations. It covers everything, including strategy. So in the next 5 years, I would like to see myself in the space of general management, where I'm working and responsible for a large cause in an organization, managing end-to-end operations, financial problems, marketing challenges, and okay. So I mean, I'm recording it on my end. So
Okay, okay,
just
sure.
saying that the advice that I would give to people is that you'll have to focus on figuring out. Yeah. So I was just saying that you'll have to focus on figuring out what is important and what you want to do very early on. Like, there's no pressure, but it's important to start thinking about it, because somewhere if you don't think about what you want to do, you'll end up doing something that the other person wants, be it a company, be it your family, be it your friends. So taking ownership about what you want to do in life and how you want to go about it is really important, and starting sooner always gives you an advantage. That is what I would suggest.
Right.
Like, it takes time, but definitely don't run away from it. Think about it, and yeah, enjoy the process. That is what I would say.
That's really a great advice. So thank you so much, Jatin, for sharing all your experiences, your life journey. आई रियली होप जो भी स्टूडेंट्स एंड पीपल हमको देख रहे हैं उन्होंने काफ़ी कुछ सीखा होगा एंड दे मस्ट बी सो इंस्पायर्ड टू डू मोर थिंग्स नाउ.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was an amazing podcast. I hope we'll get to do some more in the future.
So, thank you everyone for watching till the very end. And if you want to share your journey, if you want to share your experience as this platform, let's talk, learning from every journey, big or small. Because I think every story is worth sharing. तो अगर आपके पास स्टोरी है जो आप शेयर करना चाहते हैं, आपके पास एक्सपीरियंस है जो आप शेयर करना चाहते हैं, प्लीज़ डू कनेक्ट विद मी. यू कैन कनेक्ट विद मी ऑन लिंक्डइन, यू कैन कनेक्ट विद मी ऑन my Instagram channel. So please connect with me because your story can bring a massive impact. एंड प्लीज़ डू लाइक शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब अगर आपको कोई भी कुछ भी सीखने को मिला हो. इफ़ यू फाइंड आउट वैल्यू आउट ऑफ दिस पॉडकास्ट, डू लाइक शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब एंड प्लीज़ गिव मी योर फीडबैक, क्योंकि आई एम ऑल्सो इम्प्रूविंग, आई एम ऑल्सो लर्निंग, and that's why I really need your feedback, how to improve and what type of podcast you need, what type of podcast you need that can help you in clearing your confusions or that can help you more in your life. Do suggest me, do give me your feedbacks. Your feedbacks means a lot to me. And thank you very much for watching till the very end. Let's meet in the next podcast.